What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Plugin Tut, your home for handcrafted WordPress plugin tutorials, and today we got a big one. I've gone back through the Plugin Tut archives to just see what have been the most popular videos around, and Ninja Forms is definitely one of them. So it's been a while since I've dove into the depths of Ninja Forms. We're going to take a look at Ninja Forms from top to bottom today, highlight some of the ways that you can use Ninja Forms, talk about some of the benefits of Ninja Forms, where it sort of stands out amongst the competition, and then maybe just some other good sound advice about selecting a contact form. So let's just go right into this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more stuff like this. I've already got Ninja Forms installed. It's very easy. You search for Ninja Forms, you click install, you hit activate. Let's go into the settings first, because there's one thing in here that I really want to point out. So when we go through the settings, let's go top to bottom. Version, date format, currency, pretty self-explanatory on what those fields are needed for. ReCAPTCHA settings, so if you are using the ReCAPTCHA service to protect your form against spam, this is where you're going to want to take a look at that. Advanced settings, remove all Ninja Forms data upon install, or you can actually click that button and delete all of the data. Very, very useful if you need to remove all of the stuff when you uninstall Ninja Forms. Disable admin notices if you don't want to see anything from Ninja Forms in the dashboard. Form Builder Dev Mode. This is an important one. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to click that and enable it. So if you check out their dev mode, or the purpose behind having dev mode off by default, is because it's going to give you a lot less clutter in the Ninja Forms Form Builder dashboard, right? There's going to be less features for you to click through, and all this visual stuff that's not going to be on the screen when dev mode is disabled. So it makes, using Ninja Forms pretty straightforward, pretty lightweight. When you enable this, it's going to add a bunch of options to each field, but some of them are kind of cool, and some things are kind of unique that you might want to use by default. So we're going to turn it on for the purpose of this video. Allow telemetry if you want to be able to give Ninja Forms some anonymous usage statistics around their plugin. Opinionated styles, so by default, Ninja Forms has like this very light styling in its field, text fields and input boxes. You can go from light to dark, or just shut it off completely. So if you're really trying to hone in on customizing CSS and HTML around your Ninja Forms contact form, you might want to shut it off entirely. But if it works good with the light opinionated style, go ahead and keep using it. Downgrade to 2.9. I remember when Ninja Forms when they first launched, but I remember like when they made the big leap to 3.0, trying to keep things backwards compatible was a pretty big feat for them, because they were just like rebuilding everything from the ground up. I'm actually surprised that this option still exists, but if you need to, you can downgrade to 2.9. Trash expired submissions. We're going to talk about expired submissions as we get into this. And then remove maintenance mode. Click this button if any of your forms are still in maintenance mode after performing an update. So this is sort of, I guess, like a kill switch if things go wrong during a Ninja Forms update. You can come into the licenses section. And here's the major difference between Ninja Forms and some other form plugins. Everybody in the form builder market takes their own approach to monetizing their forms. You either pay one price and get everything, or you can go in and sort of pick which add-ons you want and pay for just those add-ons. Ninja Forms has like a hybrid model of that. And if you go back to any of my form videos, even though they're maybe a couple years old at this point, the business models have pretty much stayed true, and the way that they've done monetization around their plugins have pretty much stayed true if you want to go back to look at other plugin solutions out there. But this is where you would go to put all your licenses in. Import and export, pretty self-explanatory. You can import forms from other WordPress sites, other Ninja forms into this form. You can export forms so you can bring them to another WordPress site. Submissions, you'd be able to go into any individual form and see what has been submitted for that form. Based on all of the fields that you have available for somebody to fill out, you can quickly come in here and see who has submitted a form on which particular field. And then add-ons, I kind of skipped that one. Add-ons are where you can come to take a look at sort of all of the different add-ons that Ninja Forms has. So there's a ton. There's a lot of great stuff like conditional logic, multi-part forms, front-end posting. Pretty much if you're looking to use Ninja Forms as a critical component of functionality on your site, check here first. See if they have it available as an add-on, right? Because out of the box, Ninja Forms is a great solution for your basic contact form. I'm going to show you one little add-on that I found for free in the WordPress.org repository today that would actually take the place of layout and styles. I can't tell you if it's a complete replacement for the layouts and styles add-on that Ninja Forms officially sells. What I'm going to show you later on in this video is this plugin that helps you style a contact form by Ninja Forms on your WordPress site without having to do HTML and CSS. And look, the major difference here is you either buy it from the source, right, where you might have to pay a little bit of money to buy it, but you're going to get support from it, or you get something for free out of WordPress.org and, hope that they still support it, hope that it works okay as Ninja Forms updates. It's the balancing act of free versus paid, especially when it comes to support. Speaking of support, if you go into the help section, it's just going to give you all of the details you need to get help with Ninja Forms. And that is, copying a system report, submitting a support request, and then pulling in the environment data that they need to maybe debug a situation that you have. So that's all of the core, well, I shouldn't even say that. It's all the behind the scenes settings of Ninja Forms. And now we're going to go into looking at creating forms with Ninja Forms. Okay, we're going to talk about creating these forms now with Ninja Forms. When you go to the dashboard of Ninja Forms, it's going to give you that top-down view of all of the forms that you have created within Ninja Forms in your WordPress website. So you'll see the title of the form, you'll see the short code, and you'll see the date created. And then the little gear icon, which is consistent throughout the UI of Ninja Forms. And I should say that Ninja Forms really decouples itself from the WordPress admin. In other words, when you go to start to build a form, which we'll see in a little bit, it is a totally different experience. And I would say that they're, one of the first, when they first came out, to really have this like separated experience. Like you don't feel like you're in WordPress anymore because you're building a form completely in a different screen, and you'll see that in a moment. And I think a lot of other plugin form builders have, followed suit, or plugin form builders, form builder plugins have followed suit over the years. But when you click on the gear icon, you get your typical admin options that you normally would expect. So you can edit the form, you can duplicate the form, you can preview the form, you can get a public link for the form, so you don't even need to submit it onto a page of your WordPress site. You can have a public link that you share out where people can submit the contact form. You can view the submissions and you can delete it. So your typical administrative tasks that you might want to see in a quick edit icon. And then services. This is just the one services here. I'm sure if I had other add-ons installed, it would activate other services for me. I'm assuming things like a MailChimp, a Dropbox, wherever I have those add-ons installed. But with this add-on manager, they just have this beta thing where you can actually have beta versions enabled for Ninja Forms and its add-ons, and then apps and integrations. These are the same things that we looked at under the add-on screen. Let's go back. And I should say that when you first install Ninja Forms, it already comes with this really basic contact form already set up for you. It's just your basic name, email, message, website, and then you can put that right on to any page or post throughout your WordPress site. And that makes that really easy because it's like, if you're somebody out there who's building websites for clients and you're building a whole bunch of websites every week or every month, however, whatever your cadence is, installing and activating and setting up a contact form, that stuff takes time. And even though it's pretty quick, it stacks up over time. And just that little nudge to have a contact page already built out for you, as basic as it is, it really saves you that time. I know for somebody who demos sites a lot and builds these tutorials, having that stuff built is pretty cool. Matter of fact, let's just take a look at the contact page itself. So you can kind of see how you put in a contact form into a page. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and delete this. And this is Gutenberg on the 2020 theme. This is actually the demo site that I used to build an agency website. So I'll go ahead and grab or add a new block. I'm just going to search for Ninja Forms. You'll see the Ninja Forms logo once you click on that. And then I'm able to select any of the contact forms that I've already made. So I'm just going to click on Contact Me. And you can see it just visualizes it right here, puts it right in the page Very nice, very clean, and you can kind of see everything that's going on. One other thing that Ninja Forms does is it adds a editor, behind the scenes editor admin button, which says I can append this to the bottom of the page. So even if you didn't want to use a short code or a block, adding a Ninja Forms right here through this little option will just add Ninja Forms right after the post content. So let's just get rid of this. And I'm just going to put in some text. This is a test page for the contact form. Okay, we're going to hit update. Preview. So this is a test page for the contact form, and then below that is the contact form that we already have set up in Ninja Forms. So I think Ninja Forms is more unique in that sense. I haven't gone back and gone through all 7 major plugin contact form plugins in a while, but I think they're one of the more unique ones that has that option to just append it to the bottom of a page or post without having to put a block or a short code. So kind of unique in that sense, and kind of handy if that's something that you need. So now let's go back to modifying a contact form and adding a contact form. Okay, we're back at the dashboard again for round number 2, and now we're going to take a look at modifying and adding contact forms. So if I click on Add New, basically it gives you these templated options, right, that you can start from. And again, self-explanatory. You just read the title and description. Blank form. The blank form allows you to create any type of form using our drag and drop builder. So obviously a blank form. You can collect feedback. You can do a contact us, create a post. But what you'll notice is some of these, which I would actually like if Ninja Forms annotated this or denoted this or had a little icon that said premium feature or pro feature. When I do something like, let's say, a PayPal payment, it's going to prompt me to say that, look, in order to use this template, you need to have PayPal Express for Ninja Forms. When I click to learn more, it's going to bring me to the Ninja Forms add-on page to review what that add-on costs. And that PayPal Express at a single site costs $49. Now, I have nothing wrong. There's nothing absolutely by any stretch of the imagination wrong that they're charging for these add-ons, but it would just kind of be nice to see the little mark that says this is pro and this is free. Kind of gives you that overview of what I have and what I can do with Ninja Forms for free versus pro. Just a little nuance there as somebody who's into products. And that's really cool. So it allows you to quickly move through these different types of scenarios. And I'm sure Ninja Forms gets a whole bunch of feedback from their users to find out what the most popular forms are that people are building. So if I did something like collect feedback, it's going to do this whole import process, and then it's going to drop me right into my feedback form with everything that you would need for a typical feedback form. So you already have your ratings over here. How would you rate our last newsletter? How would you rate our last blog article? Any additional feedback, submit. And it just does all of the heavy lifting for you. Of course, you might want to change things up and remove information that you're collecting, add information that you want to collect. But the idea here is it gets you moving, it propels you in that direction, so you don't have to do any, critical thinking around, what you want in these forms. So really cool, pretty big thumbs up for that model. I really do appreciate in the demo. And this is where I will sort of highlight some of the nuances of Ninja Forms and why I think some of the features are pretty unique. So when you're in the form builder, this is what it looks like. It looks pretty much what it probably looks like on the front end of your website. And when you hover over any of these fields, you'll notice, and this is common throughout all of Ninja Forms, this little gear icon will expand for you to have different actions. So you can duplicate a field with a click of a button, or you can remove a field with a click of a button. And this stays consistent throughout the form builder. And when you click on the actual gear icon to edit that field, you'll have all of the settings that you need to modify this field. And if you haven't already noticed, we're not in the WordPress admin anymore. Like, in other words, you don't see the WordPress navigation on the left and the admin bar at the top. We're just in Ninja Forms. And this is what I meant about that decoupled experience. Because there's a lot to going into building forms. It's nice to have that, canvas where you're only focused on the forms. So within the email field, you can see that, you can label it. You can change the label of what it says on the on the form. So you might say your email. Is this a required field? Yes or no? And you obviously, when you say yes, you can see the little red asterisk appears there, very common in any kind of contact form. And you can see the your email label changed. And this is where the advanced, having that dev mode on, this is where you're going to see a lot of that added options. So if you're looking at your Ninja Forms, you're saying, I don't see any of these things on this page. It's probably because you have to enable dev mode to activate a lot of this stuff. So you can do things like disable browser autocomplete. You don't want to get that browser in the way of auto-completing it. You can put a placeholder, a default value, custom CSS, help text. So this is where you enter your email. Please enter your email address. Under the advanced settings, you can switch the labeling position. So you might go left of element, and that'll put it on the left of that input box. We'll leave custom name attribute to that. And then administration field key and admin label, we're going to leave those alone. Hit done. And you can see that, well, now my label's to the left of the field, so that pushes things over. And you can see that the helper text says, not the help text, the description says, please enter your email address, whereas the help text will show up when you hover over the actual input field on the front end of the website. So pretty cool how you can kind of customize that stuff. But again, pretty standard across, any kind of form builder plugin. Gonna hit done. Because my OCD kicks in and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that that label's off to the left, pushing that off to the right. And that's it. That's sort of the overview of looking at a field settings, and every field type is going to be different with different settings. So we won't go through every single type, but what we'll take a look at is how do you add another field? To add another field, click on the Add Field button. And then off to the left here, you can see all of the different fields that we can play with. So all of the common fields, all of the user information fields, layout fields, and miscellaneous fields. And again, if you have certain add-ons, let's say like that PayPal add-on that we looked at before, you'd probably have like a PayPal button here, a purchase button, a price button, whatever it might be. When you add and remove these certain premium add-ons, your fields will change. One thing I do like, or another thing I like about Ninja Forms, is the consistency with their UI. If I'm just like, where is that, image field? I can just start typing it in and it'll narrow everything down. So again, if I am using Ninja Forms on a more complex form, bunch of add-ons, I'm looking for something that I don't normally use, I can quickly drill down and find it. Pretty cool. So you have all of these options, and these are all included in the free Ninja Forms plugin. And, your typical stuff that you're going to gather. You're going to gather customer information, location, feedback, phone numbers, emails, that's states, addresses, that kind of thing. Star ratings is pretty cool. And that's what you have to play with. You can always just come in and click on it, and it's going to add it right to the bottom. So you can see multi-select, added that there. So I might say something like, I might say option 1, option 2, option 3. If I wanted to move this around, I could say, actually, I want option 3 up top. And I would still have the same options I had in that email field. I can, make it required. I can play with the display. And I can preview that. And there's my multi-select right there for those options that we just added in the form. You just see how fluid everything is in Ninja Forms. So what happens next? So somebody fills this out and they go to hit submit. How do we control those steps? That's what's coming up next. Okay, so let's head over to emails and actions. So after you've built your form, now you want to tell it what's going to happen with the emails and what's going to happen with the actions. Like what action are we going to take once we fill out the form? And this is pretty unique to, or at least the way that they present it, pretty unique to Ninja Forms. You have these 4 core actions that are set up by default most of the time. And you can add and remove these, just like we saw on the last screen when we're building forms. By hitting that plus button, it'll give you the options that you can play with. You can do WordPress hooks, delete data requests, which I'll talk about in a second, email, export data requests, redirect, store the submission, and success message. This one label is the one that sort of just drives me nuts out of most of this stuff is store submission. I always feel like it should say store the submission because if I was working on a WooCommerce store once and I was like, is this a store? Like I can actually submit this as a customer to the store. That's not the case. It's just storing the submission in the database, in your database, so that you can see it in the WordPress admin and keep it for, archival purposes. But these are all the other available add-ons that you see that you can integrate to. So these are all the available actions that can happen. So if you're trying to build a MailChimp newsletter, you can activate MailChimp. If you're trying to hook it up to Zapier, you can install Zapier, Slack notifications, Campaign Monitor. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do. Again, paid add-ons. But most of these things are money makers, right? You're accepting a payment for PayPal. You're dropping a lead into Salesforce. You're getting somebody onto your MailChimp newsletter. These are things that, they might cost you a little bit of money, but they're either huge time savers or they're actually making this website money. And if you're selling this stuff to clients, that's pretty good value right there because you're automating their business. You're getting things happening. We just see it as, oh boy, you're building an email list and why are they charging for MailChimp? That kind of thing. They need to support it, but it's also a value, right? You're getting these connections happening for your customer that they otherwise wouldn't be able to, and you're enabling their business to succeed. So, that's the way I look at it as, somebody who does some consulting here and there. Let's hit done. And when we edit the submission, storing the submission by default is set to save all, right? So it's going to save everything that happens, everything that goes into the form, or save none, which means it'll save nothing into the database of your Ninja Forms powered form, with the exception of the accept button, the accept area, where you could come in and say, save all except for maybe the email, which would be crazy, but let's say you don't want to do that, or maybe another one, maybe the message too. So you can kind of manipulate the way that it stores data, what is important to you, what's not. And that's kind of unique. I mean, I like that. I know other form builders do that, but just the way that Ninja Forms presents it just makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, sort of, in my mind. And then set submissions to expire. And this is important because one of the things that I think Ninja Forms does really well is playing nicely with the GDPR. And if you're into privacy, being able to remove your customers' data, having the option to do that, one, is really powerful, and giving that ability to your customer is also really powerful, or visitor, that they can remove their data at any time. So, depending on what kind of forms you're building, what kind of information you're gathering, that's, well, it's the law, right? in many countries, at this point. And depending on what that data is, your customers might be more willing to do business with you because you give them that option. So you can set it to expire, which means that this data will expire from the database after, X amount of days. So you can always tell customers, look, when you submit this form, it's only going to stay in our database for 90 days. After that, it's gone. And I'll show you a way that you can actually get your customer to input their email address and then remove their submissions later on. So that's storing the submission. Email confirmation. This is the email confirmation that goes out to the customer or the visitor who filled out the form, right? So email confirmation, if you want this to go out to your form submitter, this is how you set it up. So you set up the to email, which would be the field email, which I've already put in there. You can change the reply to, You can change the reply to email address if they were replying. You can modify the subject confirmation or the subject field to say submission confirmation or, thanks for submitting your contact form. And then here's all of the fields that you submitted. And then you can put in your custom message. And then advanced would be the same thing. Like if you want to send this, or the same thing in terms of like the advanced settings that you have across all fields, from name, from address, format, plain text, HTML. You can BCC or add an attachment when that email goes out. And I'm going to talk about sending emails later on in this video. But that's how you modify that email confirmation. If you didn't want an email confirmation to go out to the person sending the email, or submitting the form, I should say, check this off. And that disables that action. So you don't lose it, right? So I know a lot of other form plugins out there. Once you disable that, it's like, oh, I have to go back in and I'm going to have to set that all up again. So let's say you had a custom message, you had, the email template perfectly configured, and you're like, well, I have to remove that. No, with Ninja Forms, you can just enable it or disable it, and it still stores that there. So if you ever wanted to check it off and turn it back on again, you can just do that with a click of a button. So that's pretty cool. Email notification, if we edit this would be the notification to you, the system admin, right? So you can fire off the email to you. Here's the new message from the person's name, and then here's all of the stuff within that, and then you can go ahead and reply to that person, right? Because their reply to address is right in the reply to setting, or you can archive it however you see fit. And some people say, well, how do I send it to multiple people? Well, you could send it to multiple people within the to field here, or you can just come in and create a new. I accidentally deleted the email notification. You can come in here and just duplicate it. And then put in the person's email here. So if you wanted to send it off to multiple people in different departments or different companies or whatever, you could come in and customize that setting, that email, to individual people if you don't want them to get the same template. So lots of stuff there, I understand, but email confirmation, email success message, you can do whatever you want with that, and you can modify it right under this email and action section. Success message. So this is the big one. So the success message is, it's the success message is the form submitted successfully, a confirmation email was sent to, and then that person's email address. And then within the builder here, you can come in and modify all of these settings modify all of the messaging. So you can have a more robust welcome message. You can link it out to, let's say, your Facebook page or whatever. It's just the message that appears once somebody submits the form. And if we add another one, which is a very popular request, is a redirect. So if I add a message here, I can actually put in the path to my website, whatever, homepage or thank you page. When somebody's done submitting the form, it'll just get redirected to that page or that URL. If you're doing some kind of like marketing campaign. And again, you can just turn it on and off with this. So if you're testing things out, if you're A/B testing, if you're running certain like promotions or whatever, when somebody fills out a form, redirecting is a very common thing to go to a page or a post on the site. And that's how you do it. You add in the redirect option. And that's all I'm going to show on this page. Yeah, because those are the most common tasks right there. So it's storing the submission, what to store, what not to store, setting up email confirmation and success messages, and then redirecting to a different page. Now let's take a look at the advanced section of the form builder. All right, we're going to head into the advanced section now. And again, because I have the dev mode on, you'll see this calculations field here. And I'll explain that in a second. But display settings. So these are all the default settings. You can modify this every time you embed a contact form into a page, but this is just as, for the default settings. So I'm going to say awesome contact me form. So that'll be the title that always shows up. You can say display the form title by default or not. Turn that on, turn that off. Clear successfully completed form, yes or no. Hide successfully completed form, yes or no. And then the advanced section, again, same thing. You can kind of come in and modify, the labeling position, the custom CSS wrapper elements, and then custom labels for each field that might have like an error message that shows up or a warning message or something like that. You can override those labels. And then, of course, the currency if you're doing something with monetization or like donations or purchasing. Under the restrictions, this is what's important to a lot of people. So like right now I'm running that plugin awards site. And the only way I can sort of combat people voting, multiple times for a single plugin, the best way to do it is to create a unique field and assign that unique field to an email address. You don't want to do this for a contact form, like if this is like a business that somebody's reaching out to you about. But a unique field will say that you cannot enter this form if the value of that field has already been submitted. So again, if I'm going to pluginawards.com, I'm jumping in, I'm saying, okay, here's my email address and here's the form, here's the plugin I want to vote for. If I go back and say, here's my email address again, I put the same email address in, but I'm trying to vote for another plugin, it's not going to let me do it. It's going to say that this email address has already been submitted. So it checks against that, which is important to a lot of people who are building out contact forms for the most part. Logged in, does the user have to be logged in to see the form and submit the form? Which again, membership sites, customer sites, support sites, yeah, you probably want to have that enabled depending on what you're doing. And then submission limit. Again, is this like a charity? Is this a sponsorship? Is this some kind of contest happening? Set a number on the submission limit that people can submit. 100, 1,000, whatever it is, you can set that restriction here. Calculations. So one of the things that I thought was pretty cool about Ninja Forms is how they do calculations. And again, you need to have the dev mode enabled for this to work. But other plugins do this, but I just like the way that they present it. So let's just say that my variable name is going to be budget. Whoops. I'm going to call the variable name budget. And the equation is going to be, I'm going to pull from the fields and I'm going to pull from my budget field. And I'm going to hit, actually, I'm going to go back to form fields and I'm going to go to my budget. So let's just take a look at that one more time. Calculations, the variable name is budget. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to display the budget that somebody has selected on my fake agency website. And I'm going to report to them what that budget is. So you'll see that in a minute. So the variable name is budget and it's going to get it from the budget field. Edit the budget field. And you can see that the calculation I can put in here per option. So let's just take a step back. If I'm an agency owner and I ask somebody what their budget is, I can actually put a dollar value on that. So $1,500 for this one because it's less than $1,500. I mean, it doesn't match up perfectly in this context, but you get the idea. So let's say $3,500 is this one. And let's say $5,000 for this one. Let's say it, because this is the high-end one, maybe my real calculation is for $5,000. So what I'm doing as the form owner is saying, I can create calculations across multiple field elements and then have it calculated at the end. I can also put a value on those fields through the calculation value fields, okay? Getting a little technical, I know, but let me show you how it's done. So I'm going to hit done to that. I'm going to add in the HTML layout or field at the bottom. I'm going to edit this. I've already got it copied. And I'm going to hit done for a second, hit publish so it's saved so I can show you. So in the HTML element, it's saying your current budget is, with the brackets, the curly braces, and says calculation, CALC, budget, because my calculation variable name is called budget. Now, I could come in here and actually do legitimate mathematical calculations. I can get way more complicated than this. And I can do plus, I can divide, and I can just use the form builder here to pull in the different fields. Okay. But let's preview the form. So you can see right below my submit button, it says your current budget is $0. But if I check off this middle budget, it's going to say your current budget is $3,500. Or if I go to this one, because I said before that this was the high-end one, maybe the budget's really at $5,000. It says your current budget is $5,000. So if you imagined multiple field options where maybe you were building out a quote form tool for somebody and you were building out, many areas where people were selecting different items that they wanted or different services, you could put a value on that in the calculation column and then literally build them what their budget is as they're going through the form at the end with just doing some simple, addition mathematics around the field. So a little complicated, a little bit on the more technical side, but I do like the way that Ninja Forms presents it. It feels a little bit easier. You do have to enable the dev mode to see that stuff, but I like it. I think you can do some kind of unique things with it. And again, it's not super unique to Ninja Forms. I just like the way they present it. And they do make it pretty easy for the user. Now, that was a lot. That was everything about building a form, looking at the different options. Again, you have all of these fields that you can play with for the free version of Ninja Forms to build out your form. There's a whole bunch of add-ons that you can go through to integrate with other services if you want the support from them. And now the final thing that we're going to take a look at is 2 different plugins that'll help you deliver emails and style your Ninja Forms. Let's dive right into that. All right, the first plugin we're going to talk about is sending email from WordPress through your Ninja Forms contact form. So one of my other more popular videos is where did my Ninja Forms emails go? And there's a lot to this topic. I'm just going to try to brush on it really quick if you're still with me on this video. Number one, if you're on a very affordable WordPress host and it's shared hosting, chances are there's probably been some spam tagged through those servers before. And when you're wondering why you're not getting emails, why your customer's not getting emails when they're submitting these forms, it's probably because the server is set up to send directly from the server that your WordPress website is hosted on. You might be thinking, what's wrong with that? Well, the problem is that most shared hosting has been subjected to spam before. So Gmail, Outlook, all of these or Hotmail, all of these places that you have these free accounts with, they see that as spam and they're going to flag you. So what you need to do is put an email delivery service in between your WordPress website and your customer's inbox. And I'm not saying it's needed all the time, but it's good practice. And if you're making money off of this site, you should just do it. It's a no-brainer. It's super cheap. First and foremost, the guys at Ninja Forms, they have their own service called sendwp.com. And I think for $9 a month, starting at $9 a month, it'll deliver all those emails for you. Because setting up one of these send delivery services is not for the faint of heart, especially the option I'm going to show you today. And if you're just like, hey, look, I need to get my emails delivered. This is important to my store, my nonprofit, my marketing business. I would just sign up with SendWP at $9 a month and just get it done. Or you go this route and you use a plugin like Offload SES Lite, and you use something like Amazon's SES email service. I'm not going to go through all of that in this video. I just want to let you know that it exists. I use SES only because I use a lot of other Amazon services. It is not easy to set up, but it's super cheap. So 10 cents for 1,000 emails. So if you're submitting a contact form or you're getting 1,000 submissions through your contact form and it's sending out, one email to your customer, one email to you. Let's say that's 500 records, let's say, because, it's really cut in half. One goes to you, one goes to your customer. It costs you 10 cents, right, to 500 submissions. So if you're consulting with a small business, maybe they don't even touch that in an entire year. It'll cost you less than a dime to support that. And you know that their emails are going to get delivered, right? If it's important to their business, it's worth 10 cents, but it might take you an hour to set up, which is sort of the trade-off here. Or you just go with the SendWP solution and pay $9 a month. There's a bunch of these tools that are out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be these. These are just the ones that I'm familiar with. Offload SES Lite. There's a bunch of other options out there. There's another option, a very popular one that's actually in the WordPress repo, has like 1 million installs, but it's owned by WP Forms, which is technically a competitor to Ninja Forms, and it says by WP Forms on it. It's way easier to set up than Offload SES Lite, but the problem is if your customer's using this site and you're, a diehard Ninja Forms user and you're using this other plugin, it's constantly telling them about WP Forms. So you're sort of between a rock and a hard place with that one. So again, a bunch of different options out there. This is just the one that I would use just because of the affordability of Amazon. Last plugin I want to show you is Ninja Forms Styler Lite, made by Sushil Kumar. And you can install that for free on the WordPress repo. And let's just take a look at it. I'll link it up in the description below. And if I wanted to modify the look and feel of this contact form, but I have no design, no HTML, CSS knowledge, I can install that plugin, go to the customizer. And once I'm in the customizer, what you'll see in the left-hand side is Ninja Forms Styler, and I'm going to select the form. It's a little clunky. Awesome contact form. It's going to say saving form selection, start by this page refresh. But it works. So once it reloads there, you can see that I'm still looking at my contact form, and here's all of the options that I can come in and modify without any HTML or CSS. So I can do the general settings, I can apply some custom CSS, I can go to the form wrapper, I can modify all of the design elements around that, text fields, everything. If I go to the submit button, I can modify that. So let's just use that as an example. So you can see here width, font size, height. Again, it's not the best looking plugin out there. It's stuffed into the customizer, which, for good reason, I get it. They can customize there and you can kind of see the visual changes. But it's free. You just have to go through them for support and hope that they keep everything compatible. So let's just say width. Let's go 600. Whoops. You can see it makes my submit button 600 pixels wide. What's kind of cool is you can do this for all of your viewports. So you would have to on mobile if you made it 600. Font alignment, button color, say red. Hover color, I don't know, let's go yellow just to make it obnoxious. So when I hover over it, turns yellow. Border size, solid. Dotted. Probably can't tell. I probably have to select a color. That didn't really do anything there. Maybe I'm not using it properly. Oh, size right here. I have to do, let's say 5. There it is. Right, so you get the idea. The Ninja Forms Styler plugin, it's free. It allows you to modify, some of these elements that you might want to customize because your theme isn't super compatible with Ninja Forms and you don't know any HTML and CSS. This plugin works a treat. I can come in and just do, label colors. Again, I'll just do blue. That'll change all of these field labels to blue, and you get the idea. You can come in and customize it for each one. So that's free. Again, the one that's put out by Ninja Forms, probably a little bit more robust, probably works a little bit better than this plugin. But if you need it in a pinch, this plugin works great, and you can kind of just customize all this stuff for free if you don't know anything about HTML and CSS. My voice is shot. This was a long one, so I haven't done a long one like this in quite some time. It's Ninja Forms. It's a great plugin. I use it when I just need some quick contact forms put on a customer site. I jump between Gravity Forms and Ninja Forms depending on the context. I am a Gravity Forms license holder. I am a Ninja Forms add-on holder for some sites that I've worked on in the past. They're two different experiences. If my customers are going to be in there building stuff, I'll let them use Ninja Forms. If I'm doing something where I'm putting up something more technical and it's a real huge core component to a website, generally it's Gravity Forms. My customer's never really looking at it, and I'm the one handling everything. So that's usually how I make the difference. Or there's just two features that I really need to decide between, and that's what makes the cut there. So Ninja Forms, check them out if you already haven't seen them before. It's a great solution, very powerful, lots of great add-ons, a lot of power for something that's free. and it's easy to use. I like it. It's plugintut.com, plugintut.com/subscribe to join that mailing list. Man, I hope you stuck around. If you did, say the word Baby Yoda in the comments. Not the word, the phrase. Say Baby Yoda in the comments below. Let's just see if you've been sticking around through this whole thing. Really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video.